minute story though. That's crazy. Thank you, thank you. I try my best, especially for you. Oh, wonderful survival senpai. Oh, hell yeah. Bro living their best life for real. By the way, you really didn't have to re-download Twitch. I was gonna stream this to YouTube, but anyways. But I'll probably break up the Twitch VOD, or the VOD into, oh, hold on. Someone's texting me. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's whatever. I'm gonna break up the VOD to each of the stories, and maybe have one of just like the in between talking. I don't know. I haven't thought about it yet. I don't have the space for that. I'm just gonna download the VOD after I'm done. Lamau. Then I'll put it through the editing software. Alright. This is The Door in the Attic Floor by William Rayne. Are you okay? Rachel yelled out to me as she ran towards me through the storm, trying not to laugh. It figures that moving day would find lightning, thunder, and rain attacking us from above. But it had been completely clear when we headed this way with a truckload of all our worldly possessions. I'm good, I called out, chuckling to myself as I lay on the ground with thick raindrops splashing me in the face. Honestly, I had no idea how I ended up there on the flat of my back. I volunteered to brave the storm to get the door to our new home unlocked, to save my wife from getting overly soaked. I planned to get the lights turned on too, as the sky had grown quite dark when the bottom fell out only minutes before we arrived. Rachel was 5 months pregnant, and I was hoping to make things as convenient as possible. Her back had been throbbing pretty badly lately, and the move was taking quite a toll on her, as it does for pregnant women. The new house was massive. My wife and I had decided it was time for us to move out of our apartment in the city and upgrade to a house in a more peaceful environment as soon as we found out we were expecting. We had been married for a little over a year, but it was a surprise to both of us when the test showed positive. We'd been talking a lot about trying to conceive, but we hadn't planned on taking the plunge just yet. While we had hoped to be a little more financially stable by the time we brought a new member into our little family, I can't say we weren't excited about it. After looking at a handful of houses for a few months, we instantly fell in love with this one. We did not doubt that there would be an ice cube's chance in the depth of Satan's asshole that we could afford it, but we asked for more details regardless. That is certainly an analogy that you can use to describe your chances, I guess. The price we paid was a little higher than our budget, but it was a remarkable deal for the size of the place. Rachel and I made a decent living between the two of us, but we couldn't have dreamt of owning a house like this, even with our combined income. Given the incredible and somewhat bewildering price tag, I made sure to do my research before we signed off on it. Big yawn. I'm sure we've all heard the tales of the surprisingly priced houses that just happen to be the location of a brutal and bloody massacre. As it turned out, our new home had only been built a few months back, making us its first owners. No history, no tragedies, and no skeletons in the closet. Even looked up the land it was built on, halfway expecting it to find it sat upon an ancient burial ground. There was nothing much to speak of on that front either. Given the storm raging outside, we decided to hold off on unloading anything until the weather cleared up. I'd called in a few favors to help us with the move, but they had headed out to grab some food before meeting back up with us. By the time our friends arrived, things had simmered down substantially outside, so we began the tedious and back-breaking process of unloading the truck. It took some time, but we had everything inside by around 10. We were all pretty beat by the time the whole ordeal was done with, so we decided to crash for the night and worry about almost sounded like someone was jerking on the door handle, trying to get in. You hear that? I asked Rachel, before turning to see she was still in deep sleep. I gently slid out of the bed, attempting to make my way through the new and unfamiliar house in the dark. It took some groping around the walls to make my way downstairs, almost causing me to bust my ass a few times over the shoddily stacked boxes, but I finally arrived at the front of the stairs. Our new home stood on about 4 acres. There wasn't much life around, and the absence of any streetlights outside left the vast living room hidden behind the shadows of the night. I stood on the ground floor landing, just listening for a few moments, only silence, not so much as a creak or two from the house settling down for the night. Giving up on my fruitless search for answers, I shook my head before yawning widely. Yup, I'm going nuts, I whispered to myself as I made my way back up to the bedroom. The next day was mostly taken up by arranging our furniture and pushing aside the boxes that would be storing between the loft and the basement. That would be a task for another day, as our priorities were getting the house to feel like a home. After a few days, we were feeling pretty cozy, and it was time for the grueling process of packing away the non-essentials. As I was awkwardly carrying boxes up the ladder to store them in the attic, I found myself impressed by the size of the room. It appeared twice, or even 3 times the size of the storage spaces in my parents' house. Having moved from an apartment, we didn't have much experience with rooms such as these. I couldn't speak to whether this was an unusual size for a loft, but I was not surprised given the size of the house itself. God damn it, I yelled after tripping over an uneven floorboard with both arms gripped around the base of the boxes. You okay, babe? Rachel called out from the opening behind me. Yeah, nothing hurt but my dignity, I laughed while rolling to the side and gathering up the boxes that now lay splayed over the open floor. She was giggling pretty well when she caught sight of me after ascending the ladder to the room I now knelt in, gathering spilled memories off the floor. What'd you trip over? Rachel asked, still chuckling. I have no idea, I replied, still reloading the boxes. I'm reloading, and it's just a guy shoving stuff in a box. Looks like a loose floorboard, she said, nudging the raised edge with her foot. After gathering myself back from the floor, I took a look at the slight lip that had tripped me onto my ass. It looked like a long and wide single sheet of plywood. The rest of the floor in the room was made up of 2x4s, so the large chunk of thin wood seemed quite out of place. I climbed back down the ladder at the second floor below and dug a long screwdriver out of my tool bag, which would be headed for the basement later that day. After returning to where my wife was crouched beside the unusual section of the flooring, I jammed the flathead driver into the seam and pried up the sheet of wood. What the hell? Rachel said, looking down at the floor. Beats me, I shrugged, staring at the door that was recessed into the floor of the attic. We were puzzled over the reasoning behind installing a second opening into the loft, besides the one that had the fold-out ladder that we had scaled in the first place. Though it was a far bigger room than I had expected to see when we climbed the steps, I couldn't understand why a second entryway would be provided, especially in the form of a wooden door that would normally stand upright. I gotta chug this coffee right quick because I am falling asleep apparently. I am yawning like crazy, and it's very much upsetting me. not be denied that this was the same style as the front door that led into our new home. Yeah, I'm calling you out on stream. Why would I not? All of my viewers are cute. All one of you guys. That one's a special clip just for you. Upon closer inspection and a quick jaunt back downstairs to compare. Oh yeah, I just read that. There you go. Special custom clip just for you, Queen. Open it up, Rachel suggested, while I looked at it scratching my head. Stand back then, I suggested. Last thing I wanted was for either of us to fall to the floor below, especially my very pregnant wife. The door had a regular knob with a deadbolt lock above it. I unlatched them both and pulled the door ajar. Huh? I said, looking at my wife, then back to the floor. What the hell's the point of that? Rachel replied, staring down at the wooden floorboards beneath the open door. It wasn't until I closed the strange door back shut and began to slide the plywood over top that I noticed a small text written on top right above the corner of the door. For when they come, boop. I read out loud, after leaning over to make out what it read. When they come, Rachel asked. No clue. By the way, if you want anything read out in ASMR voice, please send it in chat. I got nothing better to do but make clips right now. Can you stop sending me memes, Chance? What a guy. As we headed back to the functional attic door, I noticed there was another unusual aspect to the room. There was a thick metal bar attached to the brackets on the ceiling. It had a heavy-looking chain hanging from it, and it was looped back around it with a heavy hook. On top of that, when I was descending the ladder to exit the storage space, there was a steel hoop protruding from the backside of the door that hung down behind the ladder, currently. Safe room, maybe, Rachel suggested. Attic seems a strange place for a safe room, I chuckled. And Frank didn't think so. Sorry, no, that was bad. Shrugging off the chain and assuming the bizarre door to nowhere to be some kind of bizarre practical joke on the part of those who constructed the building, I went back to gathering up the boxes for storage. On my second trip, I gave another glance at the oddly located door, sliding the plywood back over it. I just nudged the screwdriver to my side, or to the side for the time being, before turning my attention back to the task at hand. My wife and I went on about the rest of our day, stashing things between the basement and the attic, but I could not shake the image of the strange door. My mind kept wandering back to it whenever I found myself sitting still for a moment. As we approached the end of the first week in our enormous 5-bedroom house, the majority of our settling in was over. Sure, we'd rearrange things here and there, should we feel the urge, but our grueling and busy move was finally done with. You know, he said that when he looked through the door, he just saw the floorboards. That means from one of his rooms, you can just see a door in the ceiling, and that's kind of funny to me. Because can you imagine just walking in like your son's room or whatever, and there's just a fucking 6-foot wooden front door sitting just in the ceiling, like it kind of got no clipped in there. That is just an odd thought, you know? Very silly. Rachel and depends. I mean, I'm definitely like super chaining it up, removing the door, and probably fixing it. Yeah, no, definitely an evil door though. Nah, I'm taking that room and getting my little tiny baby boy out of there, or baby girl, it doesn't matter. Nah, I'll leave my little baby girl to die, but my little baby boy, nah, I gotta save him. Nah, but I would definitely not be staying there Much as I loved our new home, there was one aspect of living here that did trouble me. Every night since being here, I still occasionally found myself awakened by the same knocking sounds that jerked me awake on our first night. Yeah, I know you know. You've seen me play horror games. It wasn't every night, mind you. Just here and there, it was always around the corner in the morning. It could be that it would still occur every night. Maybe I was lucky enough to be in with a deep enough sleep. Most nights were not to be found forced awake. Jesus Christ. Maybe I was lucky enough to not be in a deep enough sleep most nights to not be forced into waking up, but I was growing concerned about what could be causing it. Give me a minute. I had to make sure I would not be interrupted. This would be an odd thing to see. The fourth time it pulled me away from my sleep, I fully investigated the strange noises. I flipped on all of the lights in the living room and even strolled around outside with a flashlight for 30 minutes or so. I still found nothing. No trees, no trees brushing up against the house. No signs of any wildlife that could be bumping off the exterior walls at the night. Nothing. It sounded like it was coming from inside the house as much as outside. It's almost as if it echoed from all around me, if that makes any sense. It wasn't until the 10th night that I finally got my answers to the shuddering and knocking sounds in the night. Sometime after midnight in the early morning of October 5th, 2018, when the events that almost broke my weary mind occurred. What was that? Rachel asked, sitting straight up in the bed beside me, shaking my arm. Huh? I replied, still half asleep. Excuse you, kitty cat. No scratching right now. Dumbass cat. Bro scared the shit out of me low-key. Started reading about Evil Door and just scratching noises started appearing on my door. I was like, oh hell nah, bro. This about to be it for me. I think there's someone in the house, she said with her her voice trembling. It's probably just the knocking I've been telling you about, I replied. She believed I was overreacting to the noises that woke me up in the middle of the night. I even tried to wake her up last time, and she asked me to. She'd assumed that I was just hearing things, but she asked me to let her know the next time she'd come check it out with me. This isn't knocking, babe, Rachel said, wrapping her fingers around my arm. It wasn't until then that I looked up at the same time. It was creeping up on 2, and the knocking always happened closer to 3. Sat up beside my wife, suddenly thrust back into awareness. We stayed still to make out anything going on beyond our bedroom door, as still as I could with my fingers beginning to tremble. Anyway, sure enough, I could likely make out the sounds of multiple footsteps and whispering voices. Stay here, I told my wife as I crept out of the bed. No, she said, don't go out there, babe. I'm sure it's nothing. Besides, you don't need to get worked up in your condition, I smiled, giving her a wink. Truthfully, I was pretty nervous about seeing what was going on out there. We don't own any type of weapons, but I hope the old baseball bat I grabbed would be enough to get a good wallop on anyone who may be intruding. Kitty cat, stop your shit. You're going to make me very upset, you fat little easy boy. Fat little easy boy. Goodness. Stupid fat cat. I hate him. He's the worst. Yeah, he's still my best little buddy. Ain't that right, little buddy? Maybe this one isn't getting his own VOD. I slowly opened the door, leaning out to see if I could make out anything. As soon as my head poked out the door, I felt a tight grip around my neck, and I was pulled out of my bedroom. Well, looky what we got here, the large man wearing a ski mask said. I tried to swing at him with the bat, but he just snatched What the hell do you want? The man just smiled while another man came charging up the steps. The one who was holding me by the neck shoved me into the other man's arms before pushing through the bedroom door. No, wait, don't. No, what is going on here? This is not about to turn into an R-word fantasy, is it? Please. Hold on, I'm reading ahead a little bit. I don't like that if that's what this is implying. No, I screamed out, fighting tooth and nail against the thick arms holding me in place. Don't touch her. I heard my wife scream from inside the bedroom, causing my heart to damn near leap from my chest. Moments later, the man came strolling out of the bedroom holding Rachel by the hair with her arms gripped behind her back. She was cussing and kicking while she fought against a man who was easily twice her size. Let her go, I yelled, still struggling to get free. The two men remained quiet as they dragged us kicking and screaming down the steps before throwing us to our living room floor. Both of them were huge, something so much more exaggerated from my view on the carpet. The one closest to us was a good head taller than the other, and they both wore matching black masks, thick woolen jackets, and cargo pants, all in black, likely to better remain hidden in the shadows, though that was not exactly a factor anymore. The other guy wasn't quite as beefy as the one who pulled at me from my bedroom, but they were both stocky, with hands as wide as my head. I could make out a reddish beard peeking through the mask of the bigger of the two, but only the dark eyes and almost nervous look of the less hefty guy. The eyes of the one who glared directly into mine, though, were wide and manic hazel brown. Though there were only aspects of their faces I could make out through the cloth, I could tell this wasn't of sound mind. No, he was enjoying this part far more than his friend. Started to get back up onto my feet until the one who had pulled me from my room pulled a gun from his coat. You're gonna want to keep quiet or I'm gonna plug the both of you. Bro, this is why you keep a damn shotgun beside your bed. You don't worry about this shit if you just shoot them immediately. Try to wrestle a shotgun out of me, we both die, bitch. Jesus Christ, man. Some people, they don't understand the importance of keeping weaponry beside your bed at all points in time. I'm always prepared. I got 3 ninja swords, I got a shotgun, I got a pistol. Let a motherfucker break in. The other one began rummaging through the doors, presumably looking for anything of value, while the big guy with the crazy eyes just kept waving the barrel of his pistol from side to side. Ain't never had a pregnant girl before, he said casually as he drifted his aim from left to right between the two of us. You're pretty damn cute at that. Oh man, it is gonna turn into that, isn't it? Don't even think about it, you piece of shit. I know you ain't trying to start nothing, bud. He strolled to where I was sitting. I tried to slide my body in front of Rachel before he crouched down to look me in the eyes. Oh, this better not go where that's thinking, man. Come on, man, you can't fucking do that. It's a creepypasta, not a weird fantasy forum. Golly. Tell you what, big man, he said, forcing the barrel of his gun under my chin. How about you sit there and shut your damn mouth while I have a bit of fun with your little lady? My muscles began to twitch and spasm at the thought of what he was planning to do. I couldn't allow this. I wasn't about to sit here and watch him have his way with the woman I loved. I was never a violent person, but this is not a matter of what I was more comfortable with. I would not permit this, not while I still had blood racing through my veins. I know what you're thinking, bud, he said, burying the gun deeper. Give it a shot if you got the balls. Before I knew it, my arm seemed to act independently of my mind as I swatted his gun away from me and my wife. Being a fully unexpected turn of events to both of us, the weapon slipped from his grasp, a bullet firing into the staircase as it connected with the hardwood floor, skidding into the darkness. Wasting no time, I jumped the hulking man, pushing him onto the floor. Rachel, run! Immediately, she got up and ran for the front door as the big guy swatted me off him as as though I was nothing more than a playful puppy. "Get the bitch!" he cried out to his partner, who quickly began running after my wife. He was on me before I could even hope to gather my bearings, launching his fist into my gut. The guy hit like a damn wrecking ball, causing me to gag while attempting to catch my breath. He reared up, pounding his knuckles to my face so hard that my senses began to fade as my ears rang out from the concussion. I heard Rachel screaming as her pursuer dragged her back through the door, convincing me not to get into my dwindling consciousness. "Stop," I whimpered, punching my attacker in the midsection. When he struck me again, I felt my body fall limp, while my head spun. I was still awake, but incredibly dazed. "Now I'll show you what you get for pulling that shit," the man who wore my blood on his knuckles said, getting back to his feet while his partner tossed Rachel into his arms. Oh, it just keeps getting worse, man. Why do they keep doing this? He tossed her to the floor, kneeling to pin her beneath him. He began tearing at her pajamas, while she fought to break free, her screams blending with the sounds of ripping fabric. "No," I said, barely holding on. When Rachel screamed at the top of her lungs against the events that were sure to occur if I didn't do something, finally managed to battle against the floor and my dizzy head, pushing myself back to my trembling legs. "Get the fuck off her!" I screamed as I charged at the man who was so focused on attempting to disrobe my wife that he didn't see it coming until it was too late. "Jesus Christ," his friend yelled out as the big guy turned to me, just in time for his teeth to shatter across my fist. The hit must have knocked him out cold. He just dropped limp onto Rachel as the other guy came at me. I quickly ducked in anticipation of his attack, ramming my elbow into his midsection. When he fell to the floor, clutching at his gut, I wasted no time in making sure he wasn't getting back up anytime soon. Felt my toes crack as they bent forward from the force of my kick, but I would register that pain later. I reached a hand to Rachel after tumbling the heavy beast upon her to the floor. "You okay?" I asked, trembling from the pounding in my chest. "Yeah," she said with a nod, pulling her torn top shut. "You?" I just gave a nod, attempting to push the pulsing pain in my swelling face aside for the time being. While I glanced around the room in search of something to tie the men up with before they could reawaken, I noticed the gun laying on the floor by the steps. "Get to the car," I said, glancing from the discarded weapon to my still shivering wife. "Where are the keys?" "Shit, in the bedroom. Head out there. I'll grab them. No, I'm not leaving you. I'll grab the keys and call the police. You grab that," she said, gesturing toward the gun. "Then we'll get away from here together, okay? Just be quick, yeah?" I gotta tell you, man, thank God it didn't end up how I was thinking, because mine got an email. I was about to get just completely kicked off Twitch, Lamau. While Rachel headed upstairs, I retrieved the pistol and began searching for something to bind the unconscious man. While I was planning to get the hell away from here after my wife returned, I hoped to have the intruders wrapped up like Christmas presents for the police. Regardless of any of that, my only priority was getting us to safety, though I kept looking back at the men where they lay as I continued my search. My thoughts were all over the place. Everything since leaving the invaders unconscious had taken place over minutes at most. I was scatterbrained and focused on the task at hand. I didn't even notice the stealthy maneuvering of the larger of the two men while he got back to his feet, seemingly right after my last check. When I turned to see him charging at me, finally catching the sound of his heavy feet pounding as he sped towards me, I barely had time to react. Even with the bullets I fired into his chest, he was on me before I knew it, slamming me hard against the wall. "Didn't have to be this way, bud," he said, once more thrusting his fist into my gut. "Now I'm gonna kill you and have some fun with your little lady. Then I'm gonna kill her too. There ain't nothing you can—" Though the bullets I drilled into what I could now tell was some sort of protective padding covering his torso had barely affected him. The knee I slammed into his crotch cut his words short. His grasp on me faltered as he fell to the ground once more, allowing me to push the barrel of the gun right against his temple. "Is your skull as bulletproof as your chest?" I asked, allowing a touch of arrogance to accompany the smirk on my face. "Oh, my God," Rachel said as she reluctantly began to walk down the steps. "Are you James?" As my wife's tone took a dramatic shift, I only managed to narrowly avoid the firearm discharging from my hand of the other man. I felt the bullet tear into my shoulder, stop either of these men. I knew she had no chance of reaching the front door from her current location, not with her path blocked at the same time. No, she yelled as I fought to keep the gun from my attacker's hand. What do I do, Carl? His friend asked, seemingly attempting to get a clear shot. Get her. I got this son of a bitch. No, I shrieked in damn near primal war cry, battling harder than I had yet. Whether it was from the stranger demands to his associate, or the fact that my wife has been running down the stairs to help me, holding the bat I had inadvertently discarded earlier, I don't know. All I knew is that I had to get to her safety, no matter what it cost me in the process. I slammed the butt of the pistol against the big guy's skull, something that finally caused the bastard to bleed. As I attempted to strike again, I was momentarily paralyzed by the other guy firing the gun for the second time. When I turned to see Rachel tumbling down the steps, I couldn't tell if she had been hit by the shot, but the fear almost crippled me. The man who was now oozing blood from his scalp grabbed me by the throat, pulling my attention away from my wife. But not before I saw her getting back to her feet. I was pushed back to the floor, with that wide mitt squeezing the life from me. After more gunfire echoed through the house, I just knew our fight for freedom was reaching its end. That was until I heard a sound that brought my unexpected smile to my face. How my very pregnant wife had avoided the erratic gunfire and still reached her target, I will never know. But when the bat she swung made contact with his face, even the one choking me lost his focus for a second. As he released his grip on me, lifting himself up to prepare himself for Rachel's next attempt at a home run, I rammed the butt of the gun against his temple, leaving him unable to prevent the bat from crushing his nose beneath his mask, flat against his face. Are you alright? I began to ask before the bullet tore into my flesh, the shock momentarily blinding me. It wasn't until the echoing sound of gunfire repeated that I saw the blood spilling from Rachel's lips, blending with the oozing wound on her chest. I joined her as she fell to the floor, her legs lifeless beneath her. That's it, I thought, feeling the hopelessness consume me. When the knocking began, that nightly visitor I had yet to track down, I went to first believing it to be more gunfire at first. What is that? Rachel asked in a strained voice. Doesn't matter, I said. I gotta get you to safety. You with me? Always, she said, smiling through the blood trickling from her mouth. Not for long, though. With her captors momentarily distracted by the knocking sounds, I uppercut the balls of the one sitting next to me, snatching the gun and emptying the clip into his friend. Choosing to not waste a drop of my second wind by investigating neither where I had been hit nor where the bullets I fired had landed, I pulled Rachel from the floor. I could hear the men grunting from somewhere behind me as I ran up the stairs with my wife in my arms. I knew time was short, but the attic was our best chance to get out of there alive. I could only hope that it was as I had previously assumed, a safe room. You're dead, motherfucker, one of the men yelled out, coughing in between words as I pulled down the ladder from the ceiling. Rachel had some strength left still, but I couldn't risk her condition worsening even more, so I lifted us both up the ladder, pushing her the rest of the way in upon reaching the top. The second she was inside, I heard the footsteps charging from behind me, followed by the echoing reverberation of more gunfire. The bizarre knocking sounded more like an incoming storm, practically shuddering the entire house. I couldn't tell if it was just the shock and fear of everything, or if something about it was more agitated now. I cleared the opening and reached back down to pull the ladder up, along with the door. The gun blasted 2 more times before it sealed the entrance behind me, not allowing anything else to register. I reached up for the hooked chain and lashed it to the loop at the top of the back entry flap. As the adrenaline that had spiked began to fade, while the walls around me shuddered so violently, I thought the house may collapse any moment, and finally began to register the pain. Looking down to see the blood oozing from my stomach and left leg, I was uncertain which had happened first. Babe, my wife said in a weak and shaky voice. Rachel was just laying on the floorboards, still gripping at her chest as blood spewed between her fingers. I hadn't taken note of either of our injuries when I sped us from the living room to the attic, but I feared for the worst, seeing the gaping wound my beloved had. It's okay, sweetheart, I said, fully disbelieving my words. We're gonna get through this. I could hear the invaders pounding and pulling on the door while the near-deafening knocking and shuddering were echoing from behind the plywood that lay across the floor some feet from us. Bullets fired off beneath me, but none seemed to silent beside me. Rip Rachel. I pounded my fists on the wooden floorboards, my tears blending with the blood soaking my shirt, while the pain in my stomach threatened to push me past my breaking point. The yelling duo still fought to get in, as the shuddering around me somehow became more focused. Well, it felt like an earthquake before, but the ground may have opened up, swallowing the building whole, and now shook from only beneath the oddly placed sheet of plywood on the floor. While the curiosity of it all bounced around my mind, the only thing I could focus on at the time was my beloved, who I'd feared had already left the room. I laid my head on her still bleeding chest, wailing out against the pain in my gut and my heart. "For when they come," my wife said softly. I jerked my head up and looked at her face. She was still alive, but only barely. "Don't speak, babe," I said as tears rolled freely down my face. "The door," she whispered. "Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. Just try." "For when they come," she repeated. I was stunned for a moment. Surely these men were not they. An oddly placed door could never predict such a thing, right? I jumped to my feet, running a few feet towards the shuddering plywood. I grabbed the screwdriver that still lay off to the side, once again prying up the sheet, sliding it away from the opening. The door shook violently from the floor. I turned back to look at my wife, my heart sinking as I gazed at her struggling so hard to hold on to life. "You have to go," she said, coughing more blood to the side. "Go through." "I won't leave you." I slid back to her side, gazing into her eyes. "I'm not going anywhere. Not without you." "Baby," she said, lifting her weakening hand to my face, gently caressing my cheek. "You have to. I think I'm about to go somewhere without you, after all." The smile she offered me was genuine and beautiful, even through the blood lining her face. I knew that she would not survive this. I couldn't deny that. If there was something behind that door, I knew it would be gone any minute. Maybe whatever may lie on the other side could offer some manner of assistance. If there was a way to save her, to save us both, I would have to make this trip alone, but it would have to be soon before it was too late for us both. "Just hang in there a little longer, okay?" I said, itching back to the door. "I'll be back. Just please, don't go anywhere. I'll be back." With her strained smile, I reached my trembling hand out towards the shuddering doorknob that stood erect from the door that faced me. I turned my hand, lifting the door open. It was not a row of 2x4 floorboards anymore that lay beyond the second exit of the attic floor. Heavy droplets of water pelted at me as the storm appeared to rage behind the open door. I became distracted from the strange sight when the entrance behind me was finally pulled open after the metal loops separated from the attic door. "You're dead now, you son of a bitch!" the large man yelled out as I heard him thundering up the ladder. "Now!" I screamed out, fully aware of the fact Rachel was in no shape to defend herself. Before I had a hope of reaching out to her, I felt some sort of force pulling me back, pulling me into the waiting entrance. I fought against it, peeling fingernails back as they gripped on into the planks, but it was too strong. As soon as my body cleared the opening, I felt gravity shift from below me to behind me, causing my back to slam hard against the firm ground. I lay there dazed for a moment, while thick raindrops splashed into my face before the door slammed shut behind my head. "Are you okay?" Rachel yelled out as she ran toward me through the storm, trying not to laugh. It took some time for me to put together what happened that night, and how the bullet holes in my gut and leg were no longer present as I lay with my back on the wet concrete, dressed in the same clothes I wore on the day I arrived. My wife had a hard time believing my account of the events that had occurred, but all I cared about was she was alive and in my arms again. I took her up to the attic and showed her the unusual door that still lay behind the long and wide sheet of plywood. She still wasn't convinced about the story I had told her, but she couldn't argue that it was quite a bizarre thing. It wasn't until time passed, by bringing us back to the early morning of October 5th, that she couldn't deny the tale I spun after I picked myself up from the wet concrete had to be true. A few days back I purchased a rifle and a pistol of my own to prepare for the events that I had already lived through once. I sat in the darkness staring out at the second floor window where the wasn't entirely sure at which time our late night visitors would arrive, but I made damn sure I would see them coming this time. Rachel still didn't take my prediction seriously, but she began to reconsider when she saw the headlights approaching from a distance. No fucking way, she said when the lights cut off as the truck drew closer. I'd called the police as soon as I saw the vehicle approaching, and I carried my rifle to the top of the stairs and trained it on the front door. I wasn't exactly familiar with shooting, but I was ready to fire if the bastard crossed the threshold. The truck stayed parked out front for some time before I saw the internal light flick on as the vehicle's doors swung open outside the wide living room window. Almost as soon as the door swung open and my heart began to race, I saw the flickering blue lights strobing from the road. After a failed attempt to escape, the police had the sizable man in handcuffs. Once the duo had been loaded up, the officers commended my quick reflexes in placing the 911 call before the two could break in. Both the men, who were planning on robbing and potentially killing us, had quite a checkered past, and a handful of warrants sworn out for them. Likely, they would not be causing any trouble for at least a good 15 to 20 years. After a few months, my wife gave birth to our beautiful daughter, Samantha. She quickly became the light of our lives and gave me more reasons to smile than I ever could have imagined. It was a little after her second birthday, only a few months ago, that she found a fondness for poking everything in sight, including Rachel and me, with her cute little pointer finger. With every single poke, she would say, "Boop." One day, she had successfully booped my wife on the nose around 10 times in a row. Rachel, attempting to hold back laughter, said, "Okay, that's enough, booper." As the realization of what she just called our daughter hit, we both looked at each other, lost for words. To this day, the attic floor still shudders around 3 in the morning. Strangely, the sound that used to wake me up in the middle of the night only serves to make me sleep easier now. I can't predict what the future holds for my adorable baby girl, but I have a feeling her new nickname is going to stick. Alright, in all honesty, the ending kind of gave me goosebumps when they called her Booper. That kind of gave me a little bit of goosebumps. But man, did that sound like it was going to be a bad story really quickly. That really sounded like it was going to get me kicked off Twitch for a little bit there. I was genuinely scared, I'm not gonna lie. But overall, it was pretty good. I'd give it like a 7 or an 8. Probably closer to a 7.